Hello friends, welcome back to 9 Little Aussies. My name is Chrissy and I'm in my kitchen. It's kind of late in the evening because I'm going to start prepping a loaf of sourdough bread because I'm going to make a cob loaf, which is really yummy. So I've got to start it tonight so we can finish it tomorrow. So I've got my starter, bit of flour, my bowl. Okay, so first I'm just going to put a cup of this sourdough starter, which is all bubbly and fed, a cup of flour and a cup of water. Okay, so this has been sitting here just resting for, well, just a bit over 10 minutes now, maybe 15-20 minutes. And I will go ahead and add another cup of flour, a cup of water, and then enough flour, a tablespoon of salt, and then just enough flour to bring it together to form a nice dough. And then I'll turn it out on the counter and knead it, and it can sit overnight and rise. So there's my dough all nice and supple and soft and ready to go in the bowl. Got my little arm workout for the evening and it's ready to go in the bowl, and I'm just going to leave it on the counter tonight. Sometimes if I do it earlier in the afternoon and it's already had a good, 6 hours of rising, I'll put it in the fridge overnight. But tonight it is almost 10 o'clock, so I'm going to head to bed pretty soon, and I'm going to pop this and just in the bowl and leave it on the counter and deal with it in the morning. So in the bowl, cover it with this tea towel. I actually just remembered that when I leave it for a long period of time, I'll either wet the tea towel, but I have a piece of Glad wrap, plastic wrap, whatever you call this, that I've saved, that I used another time. And just to prevent and it doesn't really matter, like you don't have to do this, but I was just washing my hands and I was thinking, oh, maybe I will put that plastic over it just to prevent it drying out. So a wet tea towel will do the same thing. Oh my goodness. Oh, this stuff is not fun with one hand. Hang on. Okay, it'll just keep it from drying out, that's all. So a wet tea towel would do the same trick if I didn't already have this piece of plastic.
If you want to stay at the restaurant, you must smoke it, otherwise we will kick you out.
So this has actually been rising here again for about an hour. And I've just got some parchment paper I recycled. I have this slider. You don't have to have it, but it just helps put it in the oven. It's come out nicely. I'm just going to use a blade to go across there and across there, and then I'll pop that in the oven. I've preheated it to 420. I'm also just getting some ice in a cast iron pan. Probably should have had this done earlier. Usually I do it before I pop the bread in, but that's okay. I'll just quickly put this in, and I'm going to put this on the bottom shelf so it'll provide some steam to help get a quick rise out of that loaf. I am setting a timer for 40 minutes. Now, the original recipe I think said 30 minutes, but my bread is never done in 30 minutes. So I always set it for 40, and then I often have to put it for another 10. So I guess depending again on the size of the loaf, probably how much flour you end up using, but also your oven. Okay, it's looking okay. I'm going to check it and see. Someone taught me actually in the comments, which I really appreciate, that if it gets to, I've since discovered if it gets to about 180 at least, or 190, then it's good. I used to just, so I'm just testing it here. I used to just go by feel and experience. Yeah, see, that's good. Now this is a little bit more guaranteed. So we're up to 190 there. Now I did have to put it back in for 10 more minutes. Okay, so that will be fine. It's all done. I'm gonna let it cool completely before I can do the next step in making our cob loaf. Okay, I don't know about you, but the days get away from me. I don't know where today went, but it disappeared. And so now I'm scurrying, but I'm going to do the next step with this loaf. I'm going to fry up some bacon. I'm just gonna slice it and chop it into little pieces. Probably with scissors is easiest. And I'm gonna put some onions out of the garden in there and give them a little bit of a saute before we make the dip that goes in the cob loaf. So while that cooks, I'm just going to slice the top off, leaving about that, like a good side on it, so that we can scoop out the insides, because a cob loaf basically, I don't know if it's a thing over here, but they're very common to be taken to a barbecue or a potluck, or any kind of bring some food along to a group setting, or just at home. So for us today, it's just at home. It is really delicious, and it's easy enough to do when you make your own bread in a round artisan loaf like this. Slice the top off, pick out the middle, leaving a shell to put the dip in. So the dip is basically, we've got bacon, there's some little spring onions I got out of the garden, some herbs out of the garden, and some cream cheese, sour cream. Just trying to remember what else I put in it, just to make that bit of a dip, salt and pepper, all those good things. I don't want to take too much. I'm going too low on that other side. sort of take that out, and now I will pull these bits out. I'll just get a bowl. So I'm just going to pull out pieces like this that will be then used to dip in the bread. In the dip, sorry. So just good dipping size pieces. So it's slowly starting to take shape. Now, one of the tricks, and I have done this before, is don't go too deep or you'll bust right through the middle, and you don't want to do that. So I've gone just about deep enough, and I'm going to take out a little bit more on the sides and we'll be ready. So then this piece here can be also added and pulled into little bite-sized pieces to go in there. Okay, so these little onions came out of the garden. Okay, so there are lots of different dips that you could put in a cob loaf. This is a cream cheese, cheesy bacony dip that we love, but you can do tomato-based ones. There's lots of different variations. So I'm going to add to this cream cheese, grated cheese, and some just regular cream or heavy cream, as they say here. So I have this big block of cream cheese that hubby found on special. So I'm just going to use like one section of it, which is about 250 grams or 8 ounces. I think it's kind of slightly froze. It was in the back of the fridge, and I think it's half of it is a little icy. So hopefully it'll still be okay. Yeah, that bit there, that's icy. This bit here is still soft. Oh well. I would usually use grated cheddar, but I don't have any cheddar right now. I've got this big block of mozzarella, so it'll be fine. I'm just going to use that instead. I've got Gouda as well, but I don't really want to use up my Gouda in this recipe, so mozzarella it is. All right, so we have cream cheese. I have grated some cheese. That's probably actually a bit too much, so I'm just going to put some of that in here. I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but I keep looking out the window because it gets to this certain time of day and I am busy in the kitchen, I'm doing things for dinner, I'm working on whatever I'm working on in the kitchen, and I love being in the kitchen. I love cooking for my family. I love making food from scratch. I love it. But I also really love the garden, and the sun is going, I can see that, you know, the light's changing outside, and I'm like, oh, quick, hurry, get the dinner done so you can get in the garden. And I always start to feel a little bit panicky around now, like, am I gonna get out there? Because it's just calling to me. Does that happen to you? The garden is calling, but I must finish dinner first. Okay, so cream cheese, and of course, you could be fancy and put this in a separate bowl and mix it, but then that's more washing up, so I don't think so. So I'm just going to pour in, I don't know, about a third of, half a cup, I don't know. I'm just going to test the consistency when I mix it and see if that's enough. And I'm going to actually, just to make it a little bit easier to mix, use this one. Mix it in. Now we're going to need some garlic, and I'm cheating today and just going to do minced garlic, but fresh is awesome. But like I said, the garden's calling to me, so I need to hurry. Smushing down that cream cheese so that it mixes in. It seems to be fine, even though it was a little bit frozen. It seems to be just fine. Okay, just adding some sour cream as well. Now, a lot of dairy in here, as you can see. So this, I don't eat a lot of this at the moment. I'm not supposed to have any at all. I may have one little taste, but the family loves it. Little pinch of salt. A little bit of pepper. Pepper's always good. Pepper's always good. Spoon of minced garlic. And I'm going to chop in some parsley. It's looking a little wilted, but I only got it out of the garden a couple of hours ago, so it's pretty fresh, just around lunchtime. And then of course I got busy doing other things, as happens. But a bit of fresh parsley is really lovely in this. And if I had chives in the garden, I would add some chives as well. But those spring onions will make it yummy. You can put fry regular onions with the bacon. I've done that before. I really kind of just see what I've got and use what I've got. Let a good stir. Okay. Tip this in here. Okay, so we have a taste testing team. No dogs, you're not invited.
All right, so can you explain to Chris what this is?
Yes. Oh, so this is our friend Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
So this is a Cob Loaf, which I'm curious to know if you have here in America. It's basically just the cob is the type of loaf. So it's like a round, high loaf, and you cut the top off, and then you dig the innards out and put a dip in it, and then use the bits you dug out to dip in the dip, if that makes sense. So the cob refers to the type of loaf.
Okay.
But you can put any kind of dip in it, I guess.
Since Mike has already taken
Girls, Shadow and Molly.
This is not for you. Go.
Have you already kids?
So what do you think?
It's good, right?
What can you taste any flavors in there?
And do you have anything like that here?
So they make something similar like this, but they just call it a bread bowl.
A bread bowl,
And
okay.
typically they'll do this, but they'll just put like soup or chowder in it, and then you just
Okay.
eat it out of the bread.
Okay.
So
Okay. Like with a spoon or with dipping the bread?
Now there may be like fancy rich people that eat dips out of bread.
Fancy rich people like
rich
your
people.
Australian friends.
Fancy rich
But-
people. That's funny.
Typically it's soup.
Okay,
people put
so
in
more
bread.
like soup, more than a dip. Okay. Shadow, get yourself away from the food, young lady.
I usually like this.
So one of my
Right.
favorite
Cubs
things
win.
about this
What? Show
is at the end,
Oh, show.
you just start breaking your bowl apart.
Just take and eat the chunks.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually taste the cheese.
What else can you taste?
I can taste some bacon.
Bacon, yes.
So this, I just made it with an artisan sourdough loaf because it happens to be round and kind of the similar shape to a Cob loaf. But I don't,
So what is a Cob Loaf?
well, I guess it must just be like a kind of a round, high loaf that is easy enough to hollow out.
But
I don't
it's
know.
not
I'll
like
have
a
to.
particular type of bread.
Like, you know how-
white or
Oh, no, because you could have, I mean, typically when they do this, it's a white bread with a crusty outside, I guess.
okay.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be white. I'd have to look up the history of a Cob loaf. I'll have to do that. Well, I made it out to the garden, but the sad reality is there's not much time left. So I'm not going to get much done, unfortunately. But Let me see. Look how big my zucchinis are getting. There's a couple of them here. I just kind of poked them in between these peppers. Okay. So one thing I wanted to do is plant a few more seeds because, let's see, oh, they've grown quite a bit the last couple of days. Need to do a little bit of weeding. Wow, I just weeded here 2 days ago. Now where is it? So that strip down there was supposed to be lettuce. So down here is carrots and some grass. And there's a little bit of lettuce came up, like there's one there, there's one there. There's a few scattered, but not a lot. And what was this one? See, that's the problem. It's already worn off. Maybe that was bunching onions. Yeah, and I didn't get a good germination. I don't know how long they take to germinate, but they haven't yet. So, I mean, they might still come up. But the ones inside the house didn't germinate, and the ones out here didn't, at this point anyway. So I thought I would put some more lettuce in some of these gaps here. Sorry, let me see if I can show you. There's that big gap there along the middle. I'm going to put some lettuce. So I've got some of this mixed lettuce, this fancy lettuce, and I'm going to put some coriander or cilantro in as well because I need some of that. Let me bring my tripod out. I just ran out here to try and do this quickly, so I'm just going to put some in and cover it up, and we'll see what happens. Just sow a few randomly through here in little spots. Oh, hello little hummingbird. Does that come up there? Don't know. I think it was seed tape that I had used further along there that didn't work so well. Aren't these pretty? Marigolds, stinky things, but they're pretty. Eggplant's bushing out again. May get another harvest. It's got a little flower on there. We'll see. Carrots came up really well. Well, I got a few more things planted. Some more lettuce over that side and over this side. Put a little bit of lettuce here in Gracie's garden as well. And I might run and pop some out the front if I have a chance. And I'm going to put some of the cilantro or coriander out the front as well. It's just so lovely to have this slight cool change now in the weather. And I mean, I always love being in the garden, but that cool right in this golden hour at the moment with the weather just really, it's still warm, but it's not unbearable. It's just in the evenings and mornings now, it's so nice. Oh, the mozzies are bad. They are still here. The mozzies are still here. But in the summertime, it was much more tempting to stay inside. Now that it's cooled off a tiny bit, it's just like, oh, I really want to be out there. I want to have my hands in the soil and be planting and watching things grow and weeding and you know, just when you're out here, you see things and you do things. Whereas I don't know, out of sight, out of mind. I forget about it when I'm in the house busy doing other things, which have to be done. So it's all good. It's just so nice out here right now. Look, these little babies are growing slowly, slowly. And I noticed this second little batch of cucumbers have just come up. They've just surfaced through, some more peas coming up there. Which I had to sow those a second time because when the chooks got in, I think they ate all the cucumber seeds because nothing came up. So I've re-sown and now they've come up again. So hopefully they will do well. All right, well, thanks for being here today, friends. It's always good to share time in the kitchen and in the garden. Two of my favorite places anyway. So I hope you get to try the Cob Loaf. Let me know what you think. And is it a thing that they have here? So Chris said he's not heard of it as Cob Loaf before, but as maybe, what do you call it, a bread bowl? So let me know your thoughts. I'd be really curious. All right, sunshine and raindrops, my friends. I will see you again soon.